Everyone, it's Hinitza, and this is Green Talk by Green Care Solutions on KCAA, NBC Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Roku TV. We're basically on all podcast platforms, and it's great because if you miss us on the radio, all you have to do is just Google Green Talk News by Green Care Solutions. You can catch all of our shows 24/7. So today, I'm super excited that we have BMX rider Devon Smillie. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy you live in the OC and we record in the OC. So this actually kind of worked out, right?
Yeah, right. This worked out well. I live in San Clemente and I love it right now.
Nice, nice. So before we start the show, I'm just going to go over some quick details of what Green Talk is all about. So Green Talk is a pop culture and educational CBD show. We are not doctors, but Green Care Solutions has doctors for you. Call GCS for any of your Green Care Solution needs at 951-609-4071. We are a 13-time award-winning company featured in Forbes, Yahoo Finance, and so much more. Check out our website at greencaresolutions.com and greentalknews.com for more info. All right, guys, so let's start the show. So I've literally been killing it in the game. You have been a BMX rider for quite a bit now. You have won bronze and silver at the X Games before. So I have a few questions about like your journey that led up to this amazing profession. When you were a kid, your parents were actually like, they loved motorcycles, right? And that's kind of like how you got in on it?
Yeah, so both of my parents raced motocross, and that pretty much led to me being raised on motocross videos, and
Nice.
I just tried to reenact anything I saw on two wheels, and at that time I was probably like 2 years old, so all I had was a bicycle, and that's what kind of led me to my path, I think.
Nice. Yeah, because with that, I mean, even though they were like in the motorcycle space, eventually your mom opened a bike store. It was originally like motorcycles and like dirt bikes, but then it merged into like BMX bikes, right?
Yeah, so it was like mini bikes for kids at one point, like motorcycles. And then we had a track open up local. This was back in Georgia where I grew up. And a track opened up, so that turned into BMX racing. And everyone just started calling her Mama. So it got the name Mama's Board. Or I don't even remember the original name. But then she started carrying skateboards. And then it turned into Mama's Board and Bike. And it was just kind of, that went on all the way till I was about 18 until I turned pro, and then she was like, I have no need for this store anymore. Like, it's served its purpose pretty much.
Nice. Well, it's so cool how like, you know, you're able to take your passion into a real like profession where it's like your income, your job. And a lot of people strive for that in a sense, right? Because it's like you've perfected a sport that's really difficult. I've seen a lot of your videos. It's not like anybody can just take a bike and then just go down like like different staircases and not like die. It's crazy. And you're not even wearing a helmet.
That's half of the being professional, is being good at falling pretty much too. You got to know your way around it.
Man, it's intense seeing these videos. I'm like, what? How did he do it? But so, you know, being with that profession, how is it that you start in the sense of like with the tricks? You've obviously have fallen plenty of times. What is it like?
Well, a process for me is kind of like, you start with like your base set of tricks that you learn. You learn the basics or whatever, hopping, spinning, whatever, starting to hop on the grinds, and you just like kind of take baby steps with it, and it's all just feel, so you can eventually just start feeling things out and taking it to the next step with a different trick. So if you can do one trick, then you're like, oh, maybe I can add it into this. Like you do a hop, you can do a bar spin. Maybe we throw a spin into this bar spin. Pretty much that. So, and also nowadays with like YouTube and Instagram and stuff, there's so much stuff to visually see for kids, especially, like not only for me but for kids too. So like kids being able to see what's possible like right there in front of them, it's insane what people are capable of, really.
Yeah, and it's like there's so many different stunts. Essentially all these stunts were kind of just created, right? And I feel like the creation of them can be endless. Like, what are some of the names of these stunts that I can't even imagine? I don't know if I can even attempt to do them.
Well, for BMX trips, it's pretty simple. I think like everything kind of speaks for itself. There's no real like crazy names, but there's like tail whips, bar spins, backflips, and then you can get into grinds, and it's like crank arm grind where you grind on the pedal and crank arm. And I do more of a kind of technical style of riding where it's linking tricks together, creating combos in a way. So I do a lot of backward stuff, which is called fakie, and then throw a manual in there. So then you have like a fakie manual and kind of try to like link that with other grinds and or off stairs or whatever, really. So it's pretty simple when you think about it, but if you're not into it, then it's really hard to learn all of the names and everything because there's just too much to do, really. Endless.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of it is freestyle, but then over time it's just like, okay, no, that one is called the flip, bat flip, twirl. I don't know, but it just there's so much going on. You know, being that you're professional in this, you now have so many sponsors. You've been sponsored by Fly Bikes, Max's, and more. You've also been featured in magazines with Etnies and so much other stuff. What has it been like with the sponsors and being featured? Has it been like obviously a dream of yours, but when these people come to you and you just keep expanding, is the pressure even crazier, I suppose? Because now you're like, I have to do like 5 of these flips at one shot. I don't know.
I think the pressure is more being put on myself. Like I'm competing with myself. Everything that comes from it is just awesome. You know, like I really appreciate everything, of course. But as I get older and as I try to create new content in a way, it's getting harder and harder, you know? So then I'm definitely putting more pressure on myself as the years go by, just because I want to be better than I was last year, that kind of way. So, because I don't look at my riding as like a timeless thing. Some people might, but I don't personally. I look at
Tony
it.
Hawk. How old is he? Tony Hawk's like 45 maybe?
Yeah, but.
Or maybe a little older.
Someone like Tony Hawk he's, you could call him timeless in a way, and it's like he's done so much. It's great to see him still on a skateboard, but I want to keep progressing. Like Tony's not doing like the craziest, newest stuff. It's just awesome to see him still like riffing on a vert ramp, and he's still great at it, you know? But like I try to keep myself at the top of my game as much as possible. So, and it's just getting more difficult as time goes, pretty much.
Yeah, especially maybe because you know, it is a competitive industry, you know, like especially here in Southern California. So I could see that. But maybe with this, you know, pandemic that we're slowly overcoming, who knows how events will be again. But the fact that you've already won medals at the X Games speaks for itself. So you've obviously accomplished so much than others, you know, have not even accomplished yet. But with all these crazy stunts, what has been the scariest stunt that you've done?
Oh, man. That one's a tough one, actually.
Probably anything with the flip, huh? Without a helmet.
I don't do many flips, to be honest. Something about them, I'm not really that great at them, but there is like a trick where you do like a bar spin to double peg, and I've done that down probably like a 20 stair rail, and that feeling of taking your hands off, throwing the bar, and just hoping you grab on before landing back on this rail, that's probably one of the most scary feelings for me, the crazy adrenaline rush from it. So it's like you have to make this happen or
you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, things could go very wrong. But that's one of the other things you really have to know in the back of your head, like every possibility, what could go wrong, so you can try to avoid that. Don't focus on what could go wrong. Focus on seeing the end of it, but be aware. You know?
Yeah. What has been the craziest injury you've ever had?
So
you're like,
yeah, so I've had like multiple knee surgeries in my right knee, and then my shoulders like hanging out. It's a little separated, but it works great still. But I would say the worst injury I've had is punctured lung, pneumothorax or whatever it's called. But and it's like, it's so dumb how it happened too. I was riding a skate park and probably riding a rail like 1.5 feet tall, and I went to go from just changing tricks in the middle of the rail, and I dropped full body weight onto my lung, and I was like trying to get a gasp of fresh air, and it wasn't happening, and had the guys at the park coming up to me like, oh, you need to fill out this waiver, blah blah blah, and I'm like, nope, I'm good. Like I just broke a rib or something, like I'm gonna go home, but like I can't speak, I'm still like trying to breathe. And so I drove home, It probably like 10-minute drive to get home. Luckily, my roommates were there, but on the drive home, like I drive manual, and as I'm shifting, I noticed my arm getting like tingly, and like I'm still gasping for air.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing I was kind of freaking out at this point is I didn't have health insurance. So that's in the back of my head while this is all going on too. So my roommates were there, and I finally got up the stairs and was like, you guys have to like take me to the hospital right now. And waited in the emergency room waiting room for like 10 more minutes, and they finally came in and were like, all right, x-ray, blah blah blah. Oh, your lung is 40% collapsed. Like, if you didn't come in sooner, you could have died. I'm
Oh my
like,
gosh.
what? Like, sign this paper, we got to do this right now. Like, I don't have health insurance, doesn't matter, sign it. But and I ended up being in the hospital for like 6 days, and it was over 4th of July too. So it was like the first 4th of July when I was 21. I was like, I just want to go out and like have fun with friends. I was missing out on everything, but that was probably the worst. As soon as just that whole time leading up to like until they made the incision to like start finally relieving air or pushing air. I don't even know how the process works, but that was
that's what's so risky about like these kind of, well, all sports have their riskiness, right? Whether you're in football, concussions, basketball, like ACL and all that stuff, right? But with you, you know, in the whole like skating industry, whether you're a rider or a skateboarder, you there's all these weird tricks, and a lot of you guys don't wear helmets, or you do all these crazy stuff with sharp things, and I feel like there's so much risk, right?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I have some these CBD products for you. This is our hemp roll-on. You can actually, everyone that's watching, listening, you can get this on Amazon as well. So if you ever have any injuries, I don't know if this will help a collapsed lung. It definitely probably won't. You need a hospital visit for that. But this can definitely help for any inflammation with your joints. And I also have CBD tinctures and CBD gummies for you.
Oh, awesome. Are the tinctures animal friendly?
I do have, those are for humans, but I have pet tinctures too for dogs and cats if they have like anxiety and all that stuff. If they bark a lot too.
Yeah, we have a dog we've been treating holistically.
Okay.
But she had like a lung tumor, I think, cancer tumor or something, and been giving her everything we can to try and get that thing to go away.
Yeah, and or
leave her alone at least.
Yeah, and we've had so many athletes on our shows, and for instance, Tito Ortiz was one, and Ricky Williams, and a bunch of other athletes that have come on, and they've also said that, you know, with their industry, it's almost as if, in a weird way, it's like they have to always be under narcotics in a sense. They're always giving them like oxycodone, always giving them all these things for pain. And then they just feel like horrible. Like imagine 3-4 years of your career doing that. So a lot of them are now like pretty much against it, and they're just moving towards like CBD and hemp or other types of remedies to deal with it, because an X amount of all these things for your injuries can be pretty dangerous long term.
Yeah.
But I think now people are more aware of the importance of really reading labels and being aware of what exactly you're consuming. So I'm going to be sending you home with a lot of those goodies.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. But, you know, with YouTube and social media, as we were discussing, you have so much content on there. I have your Instagram handles at the bottom, your TikTok and everything as well. But you're always doing cool stunts on there. Do you ever see yourself doing a cool collab with another skater or rider in the future?
Yeah. Well, I'm always working with other BMXers, of course. But I skateboard myself as well. And I would love to do any kind of collab with another professional skateboarder, because at least one that's down with BMX, because there's always been that kind of tension. I don't know why, but it's just like growing up, there was always that weird kind of tension. Maybe
because you guys shared the same like little area. They're like, hey, I'm skating over here. Well, I'm riding over here.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's because it's like skate parks. This isn't a bike park. That's like the main one you get in a way. So we're always trying to just bridge the gap and get rid of that negativity in a way. And I think a lot of professional skateboarders are like opened up to this a lot now, and they kind of see what we're doing as very similar and relatable in a way. So they're respect what we do.
Nice.
Because we respect them. Like we all look up to skateboarders as well. So
do you ever see yourself trying to do dirt biking?
Yes.
I know you do dirt biking already, but like professionally.
I'm not gonna say it's too late to try, but at the same time, I don't want to jeopardize what I have going on, and like that's one of my main things that I just want to like ride for fun. I grew up racing and I love it, and I would love to get back into it, but at the same time, like if I ended up getting hurt doing that to where I couldn't ride my bike for the people that pay me, then
yeah,
that sounds like a no-no.
Yeah, that's a good point. But you would also, I mean, I see what you mean, because I know that you do dirt biking, but in a sense, it's just also dangerous, right? Because like you guys don't really like wear helmets either, or so much going on in the other stuff.
There's like a whole different level of confidence though when I'm on my bike. Like that is second nature to me at this point. And I've learned how to fall to the point where I can kind of maneuver myself out of things, but I'm not going to say that like accidents don't happen, but that kind of stuff can happen any day. Like you can fall downstairs, get in a car accident. So, I mean, and I'm not against helmets, but there is something with wearing helmets that's like
probably they're flimsy too.
It's kind of like a cool factor. And I don't look at myself as like the cool guy, but another thing is like when you wear a helmet, you're expecting to hit your head. Then I don't like to go into something like thinking I'm going to be hitting my head. I try to avoid all of that as much as possible.
Well, since you practice a lot, and especially with this pandemic, I know a lot of events have been on pause, and now we're slowly coming out of this pandemic. But with all your practice, like where is it that you usually go practice? Do fans usually like stop and try to talk to you because they recognize you? Or I see that, here in SoCal, we have pretty good weather. We have a lot of skate parks. But do you ever just do like guerrilla tricks and just random like at outdoor malls or anything like that?
Not really. I kind of stick to the program of going to skate parks and that kind of thing. But lately, with just how everything's been, like, and kids not having school and stuff, like skate parks are pretty filled. So if you're not getting there before like 9 a.m. kind of thing, it's kind of hard to get away with riding a skate park. So a lot of it is out in the street. We go to like ride schools on the weekend and just public parks or whatever, wherever you can find. And you can spend a whole day searching around for stuff just to find one thing or not find anything at all. So it's a whole different aspect of riding compared to going to a skate park, because it's easier to have fun when you go ride a park, so. And
with that, who was like someone that you looked up to as a BMX rider growing up?
Oh man, Dave Mirra and Ryan Nyquist are the original ones for me. R.I.P. Dave. Then once I started like watching more street videos and stuff, I like this guy Eddie Cleveland a lot, and then Mike Aiken. Probably names you have no idea.
No, my brothers are really into skating. I never got really into it, but my older brother at one point, I have two brothers, one of them got really into it. So I one of the names I was pretty much familiar with, but I obviously didn't go towards that hobby. Yeah. It was a little bit different, but it's always interesting, like when I interview people and I talk to them about these passions, it's just so amazing how like they worked so hard, for instance, yourself, and now all your hard work paid off. Yeah. And it's just like the ultimate blessing.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially even like, because I've just been in BMX my whole entire life. So leading up to before turning pro even, I've had my favorite set of riders, and now I'm hanging out and even teammates with some of these riders. So it's insane to be on that same level with them now in a way. It's just unreal.
No, most definitely. And I'm sure a lot of people come up to you who aspire to be in your position as a professional. What advice would you give them for people who would like to be a BMX rider or just break into that industry of like the skating and being like sponsored by who you're I mean, look, you're like, even you're on the Etnies thing. You're sponsored by Etnies, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like for them, that's like their dream, but you're already living it. What advice would you give them?
My advice would be, don't do it to go pro. Like, have fun and, push yourself and just try to have a positive attitude, because there's so many people that are great athletes, but in some industries like skateboarding and BMX, like if you're not easy to deal with, like no one's gonna want to work with you. So there's just a lot of wasted talent. So yeah, just be a people person and just have as much fun as possible. Also, be consistent.
Yeah.
You always want to be out there and be relative or
Relative,
relevant.
yeah. And the consistency is so true, because we had P-Rod on the show too, and he said that too. Like, you just always got to be practicing, and then you always just got to be fit in a way, because you would think, okay, skating and riding bikes, oh, do they go to the gym? And it's like, yeah, you guys have to keep your stamina and work out and your core, because at the end of the day, if you are out of shape, you could really be prone to injury more. Like you said, when you did that twirl thing, you try to grab the handles. Like, what if you're just like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
So there's just so much persistence and dedication.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's true, because if you want to go into it being pro and famous, then you're just not going to, you have the wrong goal. It's not the right goal.
I mean, I'm sure it's worked for people, but I think the longevity of that in a way will kind of just dissipate over time. Like, if you don't appreciate what you're doing, then why would you want to continue doing it? It has to be for the passion of it, I feel.
So the one trick that you're really known for, that people actually see you do a lot of, what led up to that trick? Like, how many times did it take you to perfect it?
Well, it's actually, the trick itself is kind of like it's a backwards manual trick, and spin and pivot on the back wheel, and you do like a little 360 thing out. And it was actually after my second knee surgery, and I just spent a lot of time riding in parking lots because I wasn't trying to push myself. And like, I waited my full healing process or whatever. I did the whole 5 months for the meniscus or whatever. And just getting back into riding, I changed my bike setup to where I put what's called a free coaster on. And with a free coaster, you don't have to have the back pedal like you would with a normal cassette or freewheel. So it changes the whole feeling of the bike, like your weight distribution, every little thing. It's so completely different. So I basically had to relearn how to ride. So that's where I spent probably like a full month just like riding in a parking lot, riding flat ground to get used to it again. And in that process, I kind of relearned how to do this trick. And I definitely didn't invent it. People have been doing it before me, but it's now become like a staple thing that I have kids constantly sending me their Instagram clips and tagging me and stuff. And it's usually that kind of fakey manual trick, which is pretty funny.
Nice. Yes, and a lot of people follow you on TikTok and Instagram. I have his social media handles here at the bottom of the screen. Well, I'm so happy that you were able to come into our show, Green Talk, today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I'm going to be sending you home with these goodies for any like future injuries. Be careful.
Thank you.
But the hemp is really good, the CBD as well, and the tinctures too. You can put in your tea, or you can just like take it orally. And I have gummy bears, CBD gummy bears for you as well.
Hopefully I don't eat those all in one sitting.
I know. I get tired. Yes. Well, thank you so very much, everyone. We have the infamous Devon Smillie here on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Yitzi Munoz here on Green Talk on KCAA NBC Radio and all podcast platforms. Till next time, adios.